Okay, so here are some problems that we drilled just now. And the main thing with this is that we're going to go ahead and we're going to multiply. In order to simplify these, we're going to multiply and we're going to do something called expanding, which is the opposite of factoring. So I'm going to go ahead, let's take a look at number 1. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do x minus 2 times x plus 3. And we're going to do something called foiling, where you take the first of this one and you multiply it times the first of that one, right? So that's called firsts. And then notice that there's 2 ones on the outer edges of this, right? So then you take this and you multiply it times that. Firsts, outer. And then we've got the 2 inner ones, this and this. Those are the inner ones. First, outer, inner. And then this is the last of this side. This is the last on this side. First, outer, inner, last. So you end up multiplying 4 times. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is plus 3x. Negative 2 times x is minus 2x. And negative 2 times 3 is minus 6. Okay? And then you just have one more thing to do, right? You're going to combine your like terms. The 3x minus 2x. Well, 3 minus 2 is 1. So you're going to end up with 1x, and it'll look like this. X squared plus x minus 6. And that's it for that one. Okay? So, x squared plus x minus 6. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that up here so we remember x squared plus x minus 6. Now, if we were going to do the same thing to this one, if we were going to do the same thing, which we're not, I decided just now, if we were going to do the same thing to this one, x plus 2 times x minus 3, all we've done is change the signs. You end up with x squared minus x minus 6. Okay? Because in this case, the 3, the larger number of the 2, has the negative in front of it. So it's exactly the same thing, except for in this case you have a minus here instead of a plus there. And that's kind of interesting to know. That's kind of why I decided to put those two together. And what about these two? These are also related to each other. And the thing that I want to show you, let's do number 4 this time. Let's do number 4, x minus 6 times x minus 5. Okay, we're going to FOIL it. Okay, I've got a positive x times a positive x, which is x squared. And then I'm going to take this positive x and multiply it times negative 5. Remember, the sign always goes with the thing that comes after it. Okay, so that's minus 5x. Then I've got my minus 6 here. Negative 6 times x, so minus 6x. And then negative 6 times negative 5, which would be positive 30. A negative times a negative is a positive. And that's going to give us x squared minus 11x plus 30. Okay, I'll put that up here. X squared minus 11x plus 30. Now, if you were to FOIL this guy, because these are both positive, you would end up with x squared plus 11x plus 30. Okay, so I hope you see there's a relationship between these two. Okay, so the signs may be different, but they are closely related. Moving right along, we're going to look at numbers 5 and 6, and I left those there. I put those in there for a reason. When we were doing our rationalizing the denominator, it's something that we ended up doing. So let's go ahead and for number 5, let's take a look at what happens when we do 3 plus the square root of 2 times 3 plus the square root of 2. Okay, FOIL, FOIL, FOIL. Firsts, okay? So first times the first. And then outer, FOIL, FO. The outer times the outer. And then inner, inner, this times this. The inner 2. And then lasts. The last term of this binomial times the last term of that binomial. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times the square root of 2. is just going to be 3 square root of 2. You can't really do anything else with it because this is the square root of 2. It's in there, okay? And then when you do the square root of 2 times 3, that's also called 3 square root of 2, okay? Square root of 2 times 3 is also 3 square root of 2. And then you do the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, which will be the square root of 2 squared. But something magical happens here, okay? You keep the 9. These two guys right here end up combining as they are like terms. So you're going to have plus 6 square root of 2, right? But this square root of 2, when you square it, what's going to happen? The square right here is going to cancel the square root out. Squaring a square root means you're canceling it out. And so you end up with plus 2. And you see that it is 9 plus 2 is 11 plus 6 square root of 2. 11 plus 6 square root of 2. Let me just get rid of some of this stuff. 11 plus 6 square root of 2. Okay. Oh, all right. 11 plus 6 square root of 2, and I guess I have to use the eraser to get rid of the rest of this stuff. No problem. Hey, if anybody from Sketchbook is paying attention, that's the program that I'm using right now. That's kind of irritating. Okay, now, this 5 plus square root of 2, 7, times 5 minus square root of 7, that's using one of our product formulas, right? A plus B times A minus B is going to equal A squared minus B squared. Well, in this case, the 5 is like the A, right? It's in that position. So my answer is going to be 5 squared. And then the square root of 7 is the B, right? So I'm going to put my minus, and then I'm going to square the square root of 7, right? And that's going to magically get rid of this, right? Right? And so you're going to end up with just 25 minus 7, which is 18. Kind of cool, kind of cool, kind of cool. 25 minus 7 equals 18. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here so it's going to be 25 minus 7, which equals 18. But just so you know, you could have taken 5 plus the square root of 7 and multiplied it times 5 minus the square root of 7, just like you did with this one, but it gives you this, okay? What ends up happening is the two inner terms cancel out because you have negative 5 square root of 7 plus 5 square root of 7, and they cancel out. So you end up with just your end terms. That's why that is just 18. All right, last two. 4 minus 2i times 4 minus 2i, aka 4 minus 2i squared, right? Okay, so what's going to happen here is I'm going to take my first two terms, just like I have been doing. First times first, outer, inner, last. So, first times first is 16. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times negative 2i is negative 8i. Negative 2i times 4 is also negative 8i. Okay, so you've got the same term that happens twice. And then negative 2i times negative 2i is plus 4i squared. Okay? Because all right, anyway. So, what happens here? You have your 16 minus 16i. And then this amazing thing happens here because remember that I is equal to the square root of negative 1. Therefore, I squared equals negative 1. So this funny thing happens. This ends up being 4 times negative 1, right? Which is just negative 4. So you get 16 minus 16i minus 4. This combines with this guy. 16 minus 4 is 12, and you end up with 12 minus 4i. 12 minus 4i. Okay, I'm about to put that here, but let's see if I can back out of this. Okay. So I don't have to use the eraser. Oh, now I've got to use the eraser. Okay. So I think it was 12 minus 16i. So let's go ahead and lots of activity over by me today. Okay, 12 minus 16i. Okay, All right, and then we just have this last one to do. And this is going to end up being like this. So I'm going to just say 3 times 3 is 9. I'm going to have that minus there, right? Just like there. And then I'm going to put 4i squared, which is the same as 9 minus 4 times negative 1, which is the same as 9 plus 4, which equals 13. All right, and we are done.